Hi everyone, so today's video is going to be a wrap-up. It is a little bit of a different wrap-up than I usually do because I'm trying to figure out how to film these videos without like either filming them months later after, I've already read like a bunch of other books, or, just not filming them at all, because I can't really film these types of videos because of like my chronic pain. They're very difficult to film. So yeah, I also just want to apologize for the music you're hearing in the background. That is outside and it doesn't seem to be stopping, so I hope you guys don't notice that too much. I also want to apologize for the way that I look. I probably look very nervous and a bit ugly because I have a very important hospital appointment today. You guys probably already know about that because this video will be posted later, because I'll be filming this on 2 separate days because I can't film this whole video in one sitting. Even with me making it a lot easier for myself, it's still impossible for me to film it in one sitting. So yeah, this video will be posted much later, so maybe by the time that I have this video up, I will already have a diagnosis of all my health issues. But yeah, on the day that I'm filming this, I don't have it yet. So yeah, let's just get into this video, or at least the start of this video. And I hope you guys like this type of format because I don't know how else to film wrap-up videos. So yeah, so the way I'm going to be doing this is I'm going to talk about April, May, June, and July. But I'm only going to mention the best books I read during that month and the worst books, and not all the in-between ones, because again, talking about 15 books per month is just too much for me. I can't talk about that many books and give my opinions on all of them in one single sitting. And so if I film that video, I have to do it on 2 separate days, and that takes way too long. And by the time that I have filmed that video, it's already 3 months later. So yeah, I'm going to try and see if this is a better format. I still, like I said, can't do it in one sitting. I'm only going to talk about April and maybe May as well in this video if I have the energy. So yeah, just going to get into the worst books first of April, and then the best books. So yeah, I hope you guys like this format better, or at least are okay with it. So yeah. So the first book is Goodnight Tokyo. I gave this 2 stars. I really wanted to like it a lot more because it's one of those very short Japanese translated books that I typically tend to like or either dislike. And with this, I really wanted to like it, especially because the cover is so pretty. I really like the way that it looks, and I really wanted to like it, but it was just so unremarkable that I can't tell you a single thing of what happened in this book. I'm trying to think of something right now that happened in the book, and all I'm getting is a taxi. The main character is a taxi driver, I think, or something like that. And that's it. It's just very unremarkable. I don't remember a lot from it. I really wanted to like it because, like I said, the cover and these types of books I tend to quite like usually. And this just wasn't my thing, I guess. So yeah. Then next I read Macbeth. Now obviously this is a very popular story by Shakespeare, and it was just not as iconic as I was expecting. I was expecting a lot from it, and I gave it 2 stars. It just wasn't really my thing, which I was expecting it to be my thing because it's very much my genre of book. But yeah, I just didn't really like it. So yeah, not really much else to say about it. I just didn't really like it. I am reading a lot more works by Shakespeare because I have this book of 2,000 pages or something that's all of his works together. So I have read more, especially in April. I read at least 6 works by Shakespeare, but like I said, I'm not going to talk about all of those because pretty much all of them were 2 or 2.5 stars or 1.5 stars. They're not important enough for me to talk about in this video, because like I said, in these wrap-ups I'm really going to try and focus on books that had an impact on me, or they didn't have an impact at all. So yeah, I hope that's okay for you guys. You can always check my Storygraph or my Goodreads to see exactly what I'm reading. So yeah, because you guys are only getting 5 books per month that I talk about typically, and I usually read about 15, so you're missing 10 books, but again, they're not the most important ones. So yeah, I hope you guys are okay with me doing it like this. So yeah, not that interesting. Hope you guys don't hear all the talking that's happening outside, because there seems to be a party happening outside and they're yelling and screaming. So yeah, hope you guys can't hear that too much. So yeah, let's move on to the last bad book that I read during April. So yeah, then lastly is Lapfona. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not 100% sure, But I got this from the library. This author's like very well known because they wrote another book that I'm going to talk about in the next month that I read. Actually, I also got it from the library because I didn't really like this book. I gave it 2 stars and I was expecting a lot, so I read their other book, their more popular book, and so I was like, surely I like this one, and I didn't. So yeah, their writing style just isn't for me. Like, I just don't like this type of writing. Like, I can understand why people like it, like I can see it, but like for me it just doesn't work. Like, I just look at that type of writing and I just go, no, not for me. So yeah, was expecting not a lot from this book, but I was expecting something and I didn't get it. So yeah, then now we're gonna go over to the best books I read in April, and the first one is My Dark Vanessa. Now, I've been wanting to read this book for a long time, and I specifically wanted to read this book after I read Lolita, because I know that this is kind of like, you know, not like a follow-up obviously, because they're 2 completely different authors, but they have the same themes, which just because I say that, I feel like you can already tell what the theme of this book is. Like, it's, you know, I can't say it like on YouTube, I think, but like just think of like Lolita and like what the theme of that book is, and then think about this and just replace the main guy from Lolita with, instead of being like a stepfather figure-ish, I replace it with a teacher instead. Like that's what this book is, and it's extremely difficult to read, and I hated reading some of it, but it was just written like so well, and like Vanessa herself, like the main character that, you know, was groomed by this teacher. I'm pretty sure I can say that word, like groomed. I can't say the other word, but yeah, because she was like groomed by her teacher, like I feel like the whole book you spend it like reading Vanessa's thoughts and like thinking to yourself like, it's not your fault, like you were a kid. Like, it's not your fault. Like, you're putting all the blame like on yourself, and like it's not your fault at all. Like, it's not your fault that, like, you know, even in adulthood, because you also follow her through adulthood, and even in like her being in her adulthood, she still like blames herself, and I'm just like, you don't have to do that. Like, throughout this book, I was never really like angry at Vanessa. I just felt really bad for her. Like, she would say things that are like really bad to say, but then you would remember like she's a victim. Like, she thinks like that about herself, and like I feel so bad for her. And then the ending happened, and I was like, I'm so glad that it ended like that. Like, I'm so glad she's okay now, or at least she's trying to be okay, and she's like healing from it. And yeah, this is a very difficult book to read, but I feel like in my opinion it's really worth it. Like, you have to be careful reading it obviously because of like the themes. It can be very like triggering to read, but I would recommend it if you're looking for a book like this. So yeah, it was a very good book. I recommend it. Like I said, be careful though when you read it. So yeah. Then the last book I'm going to talk about from April, and also the last book I'm going to talk about today, I think, because I really don't have the energy anymore to do the rest of it. So yeah, the last book like I'm going to talk about from April is another book that I really liked, and that is Letters from Gaza. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I got this from NetGalley. It seemed like very interesting when I first saw it like appear. I was like, this is the type of book that like is really important to read right now, and I typically can't find books like this where I live because they don't really like publish them that much and like have them like in stores like displayed. Like, that's not really a thing, especially because like the majority of people that like live in my country and that like run like big book chains, I guess, they're not really like, you know, like Gaza supportive, you know, like they're not really supportive. Like, they're very much like, you know, the other side of it. So yeah, you don't really see books like this in bookstores typically. When you buy them, you typically buy them like online from like a separate bookseller that's like independent. So yeah, I haven't really like found any books like this, at least physically. I have read some of them like online, but yeah, physically I haven't found any. But then I saw this one on NetGalley, and yeah, I immediately like asked for it. I got approved for it. I read it. It was really good. I really liked it. It's very important to read books like this in a time like this. So yeah, very glad I read it, and I highly recommend it. I don't know if it's out already because it's from NetGalley, but I did read it a couple months ago, so yeah, it might be out already. So yeah, I highly recommend it. And like other books that are like about Gaza and stuff like that, I highly recommend them. So yeah, I'm gonna end like this section of the video here. This video is not going to end here, obviously, but I'm going to film the next part, hopefully maybe like next week somewhere. And I hope I don't have to film this like in 4 sections because I'm going to talk about 4 separate months. But I'm assuming I'm struggling to like film it today because I already filmed one video before this and I'm very nervous about the appointment. So because of that, like I have less energy than I usually do. So yeah, hopefully I can film the last part of this video, so like the other 3 months. Hopefully I can film it in one sitting next week. So yeah, you won't have to wait like too long for me to upload this video. Hopefully I can upload it in August, because if I didn't upload it in September, I feel like I have to add August as well. So yes, it's gonna take way too long otherwise. So yeah. So I hope you guys enjoy like the rest of this video, and I guess wish me luck on my doctor's appointment by the time that I upload this and like film the next part next week. Obviously, I will already know if I have a diagnosis or not, but yeah, wish me luck on my appointment, I guess. So yeah, I was about to say thank you for watching and bye, but that's not happening. So yeah. So it is now a week later and I do not have a diagnosis, sadly enough. I know that's probably not the update you guys wanted. That's not the update I wanted either, but yeah, I'm not going to go into it. I'll make like a separate video maybe about, you know, what it's like to get your hopes up about getting a diagnosis and not getting it. Because it's honestly been quite a struggle to trying to navigate how I feel about that. Because on one hand, I am glad that I don't have like something really wrong with me, I guess. But on the other hand, I'm also like, I have unexplained symptoms still. So yeah, I'm not going to go into that in this video, obviously, because first of all, it's very, very, very warm today. And I am already sweating and I just started this. So yeah, I'm going to try and make it through the next like 3 months that I'm going to talk about in this like wrap-up video. And hopefully I get to finish it today. I have a lot of books to talk about, even with me like making all of this like much shorter. It's still going to be quite a struggle, so if you see me like profusely sweating and my hair just becoming worse and worse throughout the video, I apologize. I also apologize for the outfit. I just couldn't make myself like dress more like, you know, cool, I guess, because I don't know, like this is the only way for me to stay cool. Like I can't really wear like the outfits I usually wear because it's so warm today. So yeah. Also, if you can hear my cat breathing really loudly, it's because he's sitting behind the camera staring at me. So yeah, let's just try and make it through this video, I guess. So we are now going to get into May. So I'm first of all going to talk about the worst books that I read during May, and then the best books. So yeah, the first like worst book that I read in May, I guess, was My Year of Rest and Relaxation. I read another book by this author in the previous month that I talked about a couple minutes earlier. For me, it's like a week earlier, but for you guys, it's a couple minutes earlier. I tried to give this author like another try because this book is a lot more popular than the other book, and I also did not like it. I just, like I said previously already about the other book, I just don't like the author's writing that much. Like it's not really like my thing. Like I just don't really like the style of it. And yeah, it's not me like hating on the author or something. Like again, this book is very popular for a reason. I can understand why people like it. I just don't, because it's not really like my style. So yeah, didn't really like it. Probably not going to read any more books by this author unless I get it like from the library. So yeah, let's just move on to the next book. Then next is Milk and Honey. This is a poetry book that became like very popular like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago. Like it became popular like when it came out, and a lot of people were like reading it and talking about it and being like, it's such a good poetry book. And I read it and it was just like a bit underwhelming, which I was already like expecting, considering like after the hype around this book kind of died down, a lot of people were like, it's actually not that good. It's kind of like very like Tumblr-esque. Like I don't know if you guys like know what I mean by that, like the website Tumblr, and then make a poetry book like based on like the vibe that that website like gives off. Like don't get me wrong, I used to love Tumblr, especially when I was like younger, but like that's kind of like the vibe this book gives off. It's very like teenage like angst type stuff, and considering I'm like in my 20s now, like I don't really like that type of like poetry, like very like angsty teenager vibe. Like I don't really know how to explain it, but that's very much the vibe this book like gives off. So yeah, again, I do want to apologize for how sweaty I probably look. I can't do anything about it because it's not like I can put on like my fan that I have in my room, which is over there, because then you guys are not going to be able to hear me anymore. So yeah, sorry for how ugly I probably look. And yeah, let's just move on to the best books of May now. So yeah, let's just get into that. So first we have Spacewalking with You. This is a manga from Nick Alley that I read, and it has very good like neurodivergent representation in my opinion, like autism and ADHD specifically. And yeah, I feel like a lot of the times when you read like mangas about like, you know, autism or ADHD or something like that, it's always done in like a very specific way that like to me it never feels right, like the way it's written. But yeah, with this manga I feel like it's done really well. It's only like the first volume though, so I don't know how they're gonna do it with like the next couple of volumes. But yeah, I am excited to read this series. I hope it, you know, keeps being a good representation. It doesn't like go downhill. So yeah, I want to talk about this more, but like I said, I'm very warm, I'm very sweaty. So yeah, let's just move on to the next book that I read in May that I really liked. So yeah, the next book is The White Book. This is by an author that I really like their like writing style of. So I decided to pick this book up as well because like I haven't really like heard of this book a lot. Like I feel like the authors like other books are a lot more popular than this one. But I did really like it. It's like poetry-esque. Like it's not full poetry I think, but it's like prose and poetry, I guess. I don't know if that's the correct like way to use prose, but that's just a word that came in my mind to describe this. But yeah, I give this 4 stars. I quite liked it. Again, I like the authors like other books more, I think. Especially like Human Acts. I think I like that one more, but yeah, I still did really like reading this. I'm gonna continue reading books by this author because like I said, I do really like their writing style. So yeah. So I just went to check the footage and it seems like very dark, but I can't like risk like turning on a light or like my ring light because like I said, it's like extremely warm in my room right now. It's even warmer than it is outside because my room just catches like a lot of heat. So yeah, I can't like risk like turning on a light. So yeah, I'm gonna try and hopefully like fix it in editing. I'm sorry if I'm also like touching my hair a lot, but like it is very warm and it keeps like sticking to my skin. So yeah, I'm struggling, but let's just move on to the next book. So yeah, then the next book is Rouge. Now this is a very different book than I usually read, but I was very intrigued when I saw it like in a store because this is by the same author as Bunny, and I didn't really like Bunny that much, but the vibe of it was kind of like interesting. So I decided to give this book a go, and I think I actually like it more than Bunny. I gave this 3.5 stars. It was very like intriguing, like the concept of the book, and I feel like this is the type of horror that I like reading because I'm currently reading another like horror book that kind of like reminds me of this one, and the way that that's written is just like a little bit less my thing. I like this a lot, like again, not like a lot. I gave it like 3.5 stars, but like it was pretty good. And yeah, I would recommend it if you're like into these types of books, like body horror type stuff. So yeah, then now we're gonna move on to June, and we're gonna start obviously again with the worst books that I read in June, and it's actually only one that I wrote down, and that was Classmates. I did still like this. I read volume 1 and volume 2 I believe in June, and I did still like this. The only reason why I put it in like my worst books of the month is because I really didn't like that they made like the teacher like a part of like the main cast, I guess. Like I wish it was just about like the main 2 characters, but they made like the like pedo teacher like a part of the main cast. I don't know if I can say that word like on YouTube, that's why I shortened it, but like you guys know what I mean. Like the teacher is just very creepy, and like why is he part of the main cast? Like I will never understand that. But yeah, this was written like a long time ago. I don't know how long exactly, but I'm assuming like 2010-ish, like somewhere around there. So I guess that's just like how things were back then in mangas, because I know that like recently they kind of like, you know, stopped writing stuff like that. But like yeah, this is like an older manga, so I guess I should have expected that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just hope that he isn't like in the 3rd volume as well, because like I do like the story of like the 2 main characters. Like it is like an iconic manga because I feel like a lot of people like their first experience like watching BL and watching like a gay love story was this manga and like the live action like anime that was made from this. So I feel like it does have like a nostalgia added to it. But like the teacher, I wish they could just like leave him behind, but yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna move on to the best books I now read in June because like I said, I'm very warm, so yeah. So one of the best books that I read like in June and probably also for like the rest of the year, I'm assuming, is The Collector. I honestly wasn't expecting to like this book that much because I picked it up randomly at like a bookstore where you can get like, if you bought like 2 books, you could get like half off, and I already picked one book and then I picked this one because I liked the cover, and again I ended up really enjoying it. It is like a classic, so it was written like a while ago, but honestly like I still really liked it, which feels weird to say about a book that's just about like a guy kidnapping a girl and you read from his perspective and from her perspective. Like it feels weird to say that I really liked reading that, but I feel like it's just like the way it was written was so like good in my opinion that like I don't know, like again I don't know how to explain it without like being like I love reading books about kidnappers like kidnapping girls. Like I don't like that, but like I don't know, just the way this was written, it was like very good in my opinion. And yeah, this is just one of those books that like I feel like if people ask me like what is one of the favorite books that you read like this year, my first instinct would not be to mention this, considering again the topic. My first instinct would be to mention the next book that I'm going to talk about. So yeah, gonna move on from this book. Like I said, I did really like it and I do highly recommend it, but considering the topic, like go into the book with like caution. So yeah, the next book is Lantern of Lost Memories. Now this is actually not the book I meant when I said that like if I talk about like my favorite book from this year, I would not mention The Collector. This is not the book that I meant because apparently the book that I meant I read in July. I thought I read it in June, but apparently I didn't. But yeah, I did also really like this one. It's also like one of my favorite books of the year, I think, but it has like bad memories attached to it because my dad was like very mean and rude while I read this, or while I read like the end of this book, and he kind of like ruined the experience for me. But yeah, I did still like really like it. I like the way it was written. I like how everything kind of like connected at the end, and yeah, like this is the type of book that I really like very short like Japanese translated novels, or like Asian translated novels usually, like it's like Korean ones as well and stuff like that. And yeah, these are the type of books I typically really like, and yeah, I really like this one. I highly recommend it. It made me cry a lot. My dad kind of ruined the experience, but like I guess we'll just move on from that. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's very cute, very sad. Yeah. The next book is a very different book from basically like all the books I've talked about so far, and that is The New Jim Crow. This is basically like a like non-fiction. It's all about like the Jim Crow laws and how, you know, basically like they're still going on, just like slightly changed so that like people don't really notice it. I don't really know how to explain it because I don't know if you can tell, but like I'm really struggling with the heat at the moment. Like I can't really like think straight, and I'm also like on new medication, so like I'm a bit like woozy like all the time. So yeah, I apologize if I'm not like explaining this book very well, but I do just highly recommend it. I'm pretty sure I was a bit more like specific about what I liked about this book in my like reviews like on Goodreads and on Storygraph, so check those out I guess if you want like a better review, because I can't give one right now. But I did really like it. It was very informative, as you can see from the amount of tabs are in this book. It was very informative. I liked reading it, and yeah, I do highly recommend it if you want to like educate yourself on this topic more. So yeah. Then the last book I'm going to talk about for June is Heaven's Official Blessing. Now, I didn't write down which specific volume I read in June because I've been reading these like basically every single month. I read like one book of this series, except for this month because in August I'm kind of having like a weird like reading month. I'm not reading a lot. Part of that has to do with like me not getting a diagnosis, and so I'm a bit like more depressed than I usually am. I did like read like one of these volumes in June and I really liked it, and yeah, I don't really have much else to say about the series. Some people like series like this, some people don't. I'm one of the people that likes it. So yeah, I recommend it if you're into these types of series, but if you're not, then that's okay. And I'm gonna move on to the last month now that I'm gonna talk about, which is July, and just finish this video because like I said, I'm so out of it at this point from like the medication and from the heat that like I can't really think straight anymore, and I'm becoming like slightly nauseous. So yeah, let's try and not to catch like heat stroke. while filming this video. So yeah, let me just put this book down now and talk about July. So for July, I'm obviously again going to talk about the worst books first. And the first book that I read in July that was just less interesting than I was expecting it to be was this book. I'm not going to try and pronounce the title because, like I said, I'm kind of becoming nauseous from the heat. So yeah, I'm going to try and get through these books as fast as I can. But yeah, I was expecting more from this book. I heard a lot of good things about it, and I picked it up at a bookstore, and I was like, I'm sure I'll love this. Because like I said, I love translated works usually, and I just didn't love it. I gave it 2.5 stars. It was just a bit underwhelming, and I was expecting more from it. So yeah, let's just move on to the next book, because like I said, I don't feel well. So yeah, let's just move on to the next book. So next we have Chainsaw Man. Now, I did quite like reading this series. I read a couple volumes. I think I read volume 1, 2, and 3. And I did quite like it, but it did hurt me emotionally a lot more than I was expecting it to. This series is very much a series that's don't get attached to any characters because they will die. And I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, that's what I got. So because of that, I put it on the worst books. Not necessarily because I didn't like it, but more because I wasn't expecting to get hurt that quickly. Literally in the 3rd volume. That's wild, honestly, to me. So yeah, let's just move on to the next book. Because like I said, I don't feel well. So yeah, I do recommend this series though, but just don't get attached to anyone. So yeah. So next we have a book that I'm honestly a bit scared to talk about, considering I only gave it 1 star and it's a very popular book, but I'm gonna do it anyways, and that is Normal People. This is a book and an author that are they're very well loved. This book is very well loved, and so is the author, and I've always wanted to read one of their books, and Normal People was one of the more popular ones, and I just didn't like it at all. I was expecting to like it, considering how many people I know that have similar reading tastes to me, and they really like it. And I read this and I was just what am I reading? Why does it feel so bland? Just so one-dimensional, just nothing. And I do feel a bit sad about that, considering again this is a very popular author, and I do want to give every author a proper chance, and this just didn't work out for me. So yeah, I also apologize for all the noise happening outside. I don't know if it's still very loud, but it was loud a couple seconds ago. So yeah, I just wanted to like this book, but I just didn't. So yeah. Then next for the best books that I read in July, I actually also put Heaven's Official Blessing. Now, I'm not going to hold that book up again because it's very heavy, and like I said, I don't feel well. I'm becoming more nauseous as every minute passes. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about that book again, or that series again rather, because like I said, I read a book of that series every single month. So it's normal that it ends up on my best books of the month list. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about that again, so I'm just going to move on to the next book immediately, and that is the book that I talked about when I said that if people ask me what my favorite book of this year was, I'm not going to mention The Collector, I'm going to mention this one instead. So let's talk about that one now. So if you've watched my mid-year check-in video that I posted a couple weeks ago, I think you probably already know what book I'm talking about, but that book is Frankenstein. This is obviously a classic. I just read it for the first time in July, and yeah, I really liked it. I wasn't expecting to. I just randomly picked it off my bookshelf because I felt in the mood to read a classic, and I really liked it. I don't know if I like it as much as my other favorite classic, The Picture of Dorian Gray. I don't know if I like it as much or more as that one. It's either as much as Dorian Gray or more than Dorian Gray. I don't know which one it is. I would have to reread The Picture of Dorian Gray to know it. But I feel I definitely like the writing of Frankenstein a lot more than The Picture of Dorian Gray, which feels sad to say considering I quite like Oscar Wilde's works. But yeah, I think I like the writing style of this a lot better. It was very beautiful. I had to stop myself from annotating every single sentence because everything was just so beautiful. And yeah, as you can tell from the amount of tabs in this book, I don't know if you can see it because of all the light happening outside. But yeah, I really like this book. I wasn't expecting to, which is kind of the same thing that happened with The Collector. I wasn't expecting to like that book. Neither was I expecting to like this book, but I really liked it. So yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite books of this year, as well as The Collector. So yeah, gonna stop talking now because I'm exhausted and I kind of want to go outside today to go to the library in this weather, which is gonna be a struggle probably, but I'm gonna try it anyways. So yeah, let's just end this video now though, and hopefully I don't look too ugly by now. So yeah, so this is finally the end of this video. I'm so glad I actually managed to finish it. I'm trying to figure out a way to film these like wrap-up videos because I know I can't do like monthly wrap-ups considering I read like about like 15 books every single month, and I can't talk about 15 books in one sitting, even though I'm pretty sure that's what I did today. But it's just because I need to like finish this video and I feel like I'm taking way too long to do that. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out a way to talk about like books that I read, not even like every single book that I read in every single month, because I picked like 5 books like every single month to talk about, even though I read like 15 to like 18 books like every single month. So yeah, it's still a struggle to like do these types of videos, but I hope you guys like appreciate my effort, I guess. So yeah, sorry about the noise again happening outside, but yeah, I hope you guys like this video. I'm sorry if it's a bit like chaotic or it's not how you guys like, you know, watching wrap-ups. Maybe you guys like watching it a lot more when like people talk about every single book they've read that month, but again, because I'm physically disabled, I can't do that. So I feel like this is the next best option. I hope you guys like it. So yeah, let's just end this video now though because I'm struggling to talk. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Tell me like your favorite book that you read in those like last 4 months. Tell it to me in the comments, I guess. I always like reading those. Again, as you can tell, I'm really struggling to like focus because of like the heat and like the new medication. Like it's very difficult to focus, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys like this video, and bye.